So make sure that you identify the gap, you know what your passion is, find the balance, and really enjoy the company you keep while doing so. So not necessarily your friends, but business partners or your network. I always say your network is your net worth because those people can really open doors or support you or elevate you to levels where you really want to be. You can't always just do it alone.
Hey guys, Courtnall Skosan here, and welcome to Skosan Unplugged. What's up everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm your host Courtnall Skosan, and today I'm joined by an absolute legend in the world of bespoke suits, none other than Gareth Duncan, my man sitting right next to me. He is an avid businessman, serial entrepreneur, and as well as an avid poker player. We'll be diving deep into his story, as well as get some great tips along the way for any one of you that want to start a new venture. Gareth, thank you so much for joining today.
My pleasure, man. Thanks for having me.
100%, let's dive deep. So Gareth, I wanted to start at the beginning, a little bit of background. I'm also getting to know you in this space as well. So where are you originally from, and what are your fondest memories growing up?
Yeah, born in Worcester of all places. My father got his first job that side of the world. And then we moved back to Cape Town when I was 5 years old. We settled in Kells River, so grew up in the northern suburbs. But I was all around. My family's in the southern suburbs, grew up in the northern suburbs, so family holidays all over Cape Town, which was nice because got to meet different people from different backgrounds. Had a lot of fun growing up, and then went into journalism after school.
Okay.
Studied sports journalism, and that's how I met all your colleagues in the industry. And then after 4 years of that, I kind of wanted more for myself. Look, it was a dream job, but I think you reach a certain ceiling in certain capacities, and I wanted more for myself, so I jumped off the edge and started my own online magazine, which kicked off my entrepreneurship career.
Sure.
And from there it went into a marketing company, and that kind of was the pivot that really changed things for me. Got a few clients on board that helped me build what I wanted to achieve, and then I went into various passion projects. Suits, as you mentioned, that was a passion project. That's after a trip to Thailand. Involved in beer, which came through a wedding client.
Sure.
Poker, that has always been a passion of mine, but to turn it into a career was something exciting. So it's all about, how life just creates the path for you to kind of find these things along the way, and you obviously pick the ones more attractive to you, So it's all about identifying the opportunity and making the most of it.
100%. And on that, I wanted to ask you as well, was this always a thing for you as a young man or as a child? Did you always think, I'm going to be an entrepreneur one day, or was there a specific journey that you had planned out for yourself already, and you kind of just found yourself, like you said now, walking into that destiny of being an entrepreneur?
It definitely wasn't scripted. I think where I'm from, it wasn't believed that you could start your own business and become an entrepreneur. I don't think that was the common talk. It was always traditional. Do well at school, do well at university, and find a good job and take it from there.
Yeah.
So the fact that I had the opportunity to do so back in 2013, when it wasn't really as popular as it is now, was a massive thing for me. I think that's all due to your personal circle. I think I remember the phone call with my father before quitting my job, and they supported me in my wanting to do something more.
Yeah.
I think if they told me no, or discouraged me, that would have been a huge influence for me to stay into where I was.
Yeah.
So the fact that they supported me, I think your parents, your family, your friends are very important in terms of influencing your decisions and building that confidence, because it wasn't easy starting out. There were a lot of mistakes, there were a lot of failures, but you only need to be right one time for things to really change.
100%.
And I think when I pivoted from the online magazine to the marketing company, that really changed the game for me.
Awesome, man, awesome. So you're obviously known for dressing sharp. We can see you looking good here, attention to detail when it comes to the suits as well. But how did you get into the world of fashion, specifically suit design?
Yeah, it's a funny story because I didn't study fashion at all. My marketing company did well. I took my first holiday to Thailand, and that's where I was at a hotel. There was a tailor on the corner. So every time I walk past, going to the beach or the shops, whatever the case is, the guy tried to sell me a suit every day. And I was there for like 9 days. So on the fourth day, I eventually go in. I went through the processes and I loved it. The fact that something could fit me without having to sacrifice or the sleeve being too long or the pants being too long. It just fitted me because it was made for me.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the experience so much that when I came back to Cape Town, I kind of scoped the market, and tailor suits were dramatically expensive
Yes.
or cheap and bad quality. So there was a big difference between the availabilities here in Cape Town, and I saw a gap in the market. And just purely on passion, I kind of ventured into the industry, did what I needed to do to learn about it, and GD Suits was born a year later.
Sure. So that was 20?
Towards the end of 2015,
2015.
and 2016 GD Suits launched.
Sure.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. Amazing. And then obviously from marketing to fashion, that's obviously quite a leap, you know?
Yeah.
So were there any early challenges
Yeah.
that made you question that decision?
I think when things were tough, where I couldn't financially support what I wanted to do, like we all have ambitions, and
Yes.
we all, but these things sometimes cost money.
Yes.
And my parents were very helpful in the fact that, you know, they said for the first 6 months, we're not going to charge you rent,
Wow.
etc., because I was staying at the back by them. That helped me put money into the right places. And just being patient, though. Like, we all want to start at 100, but that's not always possible. You got to start from the ground up. So when I started the suits business, I literally went door to door,
Sure.
saved up, invested into my own small office, and that small office became a bigger office.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, I moved into the office we have here today.
Sure.
So it takes a bit of time, you know. I think we all have a dream, and we all want to get there as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But I think there's a reward in taking your time and building a solid foundation to grow and reach even higher heights, you know.
Sure.
So
Powerful.
I think there's a strong message there, or there needs to be an understanding that nothing comes good overnight.
Yeah.
You got to earn what you want in this life.
100%. And on that, you know, the follow-up on that would be, where was that turning point for you where you were like, okay, I'm onto something here?
So there were a few turning points because I'm involved in a few things. I think the pivot from online magazine to starting a marketing company was a big one. When I quit my job, I started the online magazine. It did well for a couple of months, but then it started struggling financially.
Yeah.
And at the time, ironically, I got a call where I was headhunted. The company heard that I wasn't at my old company anymore, and they wanted me to come for a job interview.
Okay.
When you're in a difficult position, you take every opportunity possible. I went for the interview, and then hearing what they needed from me, I realized, but I can actually offer these things as services. So I said, look guys, I started a small business. Would you be keen on giving me a probation period to provide exactly what you need, but as a service provider?
Yes.
And they thought about it, and they gave me a go, and that ended up being a 2-year contract that really set
Sure.
the game for me, you know.
Okay.
With that contract, I was able to take on more business. In the marketing field, I realized what people wanted from me, and
Yeah.
instead of forcing a product onto the market, and that really changed things for me. So that, from that perspective, is realizing what the demand is and actually supplying the demand. The suits business, it was coming back from that holiday and realizing there's a big gap here and no one's really hitting it, and hitting it effectively. So taking my time to learn the trade, materials, fittings, measurements, etc., understanding that clients didn't just want the suit, but they wanted the experience around it. Because most times when you buy a suit or a tailored suit, it's for a special occasion, whether it's a wedding or a graduation or matric ball. So it was all about creating that special experience to contribute to that. And identifying the gap, being able to execute was a very rewarding experience in itself. So those two are probably the major moments in my life that I was able to choose my passions and my skills and turn it into something relatable to the community.
Sure. So you mentioned, obviously, you mentioned the suit business, you mentioned your marketing company as well. There's another business that I wanted to touch on, and that's Northern Brew.
Northern Brew craft beer.
Yeah, so craft beer, like how did you get to that?
It's crazy because I'm not a big beer drinker, but how it came about my way is I did a suit for a wedding client, and we built a good friendship thereafter.
Okay.
You know, he met me in Kelsriver, he asked me in and out about my suits business, did his full due diligence before buying the wedding suit from me.
Of course.
And I ended up making suits for his entire groom party, which was a nice experience.
Yeah.
About 6 months later, he gave me a call and he said, look, I love the way you do business. I like the way you do marketing. I have this passion project, same with the suits and the poker in my regard, but for him it was beer. And he wanted me involved in some capacity, and we looked into it, and then I just saw that being based in Kelsriver, there's a lot of beer drinkers, but nothing to be proud about. And that's where I saw like there's a huge opportunity here to start something special. And we took his passion into market, and that worked really, really well. So it's all about building relationships, building good people in business, in community, and people will remember how you make them feel, whether it's through business or friendship or just providing a service, you know. And good energy draws good energy, and I think that would happen in that occasion. And then the opportunity in Northern Peru came around.
100%. And is that the tips or like advice that you would give to someone that's just starting out, or is there a specific thing that you can think of the top of your head? If someone wanted to start a business now, you know, what would that one piece of advice be that you can give them?
So it's definitely spotting the gap and understanding what the opportunities, the realistic opportunities. Like, I would love to be a professional rugby player. There's no there's no way possible I can get into the Stormer squad right now. But it's being realistic about what you can achieve with your abilities and skills and what God's given you. It's identifying your passion and finding the middle ground between those elements, and then really hitting hard on the one that you're really excited about. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you would testify that work is work. And sometimes you just don't feel up for it, but you got to push through because there's a commitment there, right? 100%. So when it is your passion and it is tough, or there are challenging circumstances around what you're doing, that sort of passion will drive you through to make sure that you're successful, regardless of how you feel at the time. So make sure that you identify the gap, you know what your passion is, find the balance, and really enjoy the company you keep while doing so. So not necessarily your friends, but business partners or your network. I always say your network is your net worth, because those people can really open doors or support you or elevate you to levels where you really want to be. You can't always just do it alone. Entrepreneurship might be sometimes an individual perspective, but it's how the entire chain or the entire machine works that really makes the difference. You know?
Sure. And you mentioned something there, and you said about tough times and challenges and all of that. How do you navigate that? How do you handle? Because obviously it hasn't been smooth sailing.
I think in the life of social media, we always want a perfect record or a perfect picture to paint people.
Of course.
And unfortunately, behind the picture, it's never that way. A big entrepreneur in America always says that entrepreneurship career is like a UFC career. There's no disappointment in having losses on your record. You played 18, you won 12, you lost 6. It is what it is, you know, because sometimes you're going to win and sometimes you're going to lose. But it's most important that you take every loss as a lesson and you maximize your wins and you kind of drive that. And you got to be strong-willed. Like, bad times are going to come, you're going to make mistakes, be human. But as long as you learn from it, you can become a better human and very skilled in what you do by learning from those things. Like, everybody that's an expert in their field today made mistakes early on. And that's the perfect time to kind of get those lessons in and become better as you gain experience in your field.
100%. Let's switch gears for a little bit. Obviously, you know, I met through JP, you know, at a poker game, you know. I mean, I think I met you a few years before that, but where we actually spoke was actually at a poker game, you know. And you obviously have a name in the fashion industry, but, you know, you also have a name in the poker industry, you know. How did that journey start for you?
So, I mean, my first experience with poker was a social game among friends. The girls and boys in my area were able to play. It's a level playing field because it's not a physical sport, it's more of a mind sport. It was a fun experience for everybody to be social on a weekend, man. And then I realized on DSTV there was a channel, 24/7 poker channel, and that really opened my eyes because there was a South African that competed at the World Series of Poker. He came second in the main event, third in the main event, and he won like $2 million. And I realized there's a professional aspect to this. So while I would love to be a professional athlete, unfortunately that didn't work out for me. But poker is something I'm really good at. It's not just, I mean, obviously it has the stigma of its gambling foundations, but it's evolved into this mind sport that's taken the world by storm. There are millions of players around the world, in every continent, in every city, in every country, and we actually have a professional level in South Africa. So when I realized all these opportunities at higher levels, I kind of took the time to play at club level, started playing at national level, and after a few years experience, I've really done well enough to kind of go internationally as well. So it's something I'm very passionate about. Just the fact that different people from different walks of life can come together for the common passion for tournament poker, I think that's an amazing experience that you can only realize when you're there. I think when you tell your friends you play poker, it's cool, but when you're actually in the game, as you've experienced before yourself, I think there's a different social element that you don't get to experience somewhere else, you know. I think you can testify that.
No,
yourself.
100%. I think the nicest thing for me is that you meet people from all walks of life, and I think that's the thing I enjoy the most. What is the actual thing, for me playing poker is the fact of sitting at a table, getting responses, getting reactions, reading people, trying to figure that out. Not necessarily only playing my cards, but playing what's going on around 100%. Me as well. Is that the same for you? Is that what drew you into the sport?
There's so many variances that you have to be a master of. So yes, it's getting your cards, identifying the strength, and putting the maths and strategy behind the possibility of winning the hand or as much chips as possible. Yes. Then it's the different personalities you have around the table. You have different people 100%, but there's similar traits that everybody has, and you kind of, as early as possible, start reading them. So you got to monitor what do they do differently. Yes. When they have a strong hand, there's certain actions they take. When they have a weak hand, there's certain actions you take. So that's everything a poker picks up on very, very quickly. And after a couple of rounds, you kind of have already a summary in your head. And that's what I do. I'm a very social player. I pick up on tells and I follow my gut. So when you pick up on a certain strategy and you pick up on certain tells, you put that together and you back it up. Sometimes you're going to be wrong, but that's also life. Yeah. There's a lot of similarities between a tournament poker experience and entrepreneurship. Because you're going to win and lose. There's no guarantee that you're going to win every time. But if the more you master your art, the more time you dedicate to it, you can be a master of both.
Yeah. Now, if someone, obviously you mentioned about the whole gambling aspect, and I think a lot of people have that negative connotation to the game, I enjoy the learning aspect of it and all of that, but if someone is interested now, they're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that poker is something other than just gambling. How can they get into it? How can they learn? How can they develop the skills? Do they go online? Do they invite friends over and just learn the basics of the game? What would you say to someone that just wanted to start out their poker journey and just they're literally a baby in the game?
So like I said, poker is a global sport. There's a lot of free apps available just to start out and see if this is a game for you or not. Yes, it is difficult to explain or break away from the gambling acting. So I think that's one of the toughest conversations I had to explain to my parents when they discovered I'd played poker on a more professional level. But what's nice about the national level, they stream the events. So watching that also kind of gauges just a free viewing of what actually happens at that level. And if you enjoy it, play the free apps. There's PokerBet, which is a national poker platform that you can start out as well, low buying games, etc., etc. There are clubs around the country that currently exist, and then there's a national level competition that people can compete. It does get more expensive the higher you go, but it's also, like I said, in entrepreneurship, you build your way up. So you build your bankroll, and the more experience you pick up, the more confident you are in your ability, the more you will do well at the higher level of the game.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And then the next thing I wanted to touch on is obviously poker, you said, is the same entrepreneurship, and then obviously the game, did that affect the way you approach business? Did it add to your business journey?
It actually added a lot of value. I used to, some people don't believe it, but back in the day, I used to be much of an introverted person. I wasn't very social. I didn't enjoy conversing with people, being the social butterfly on the field. But poker kind of forced that out of me. Because the type of game I play, I kind of try to read the player as soon as possible. So I actually have conversations with them around the table, picking up tells based on what we're talking about around the table. So that opened up my social element a lot. And I realized the more you connect with a person, whether it's poker or business, the better that relationship will grow. Because once you connect with someone on the personal level, they're more open to you, or they're more, even if it's, let's say, a negative experience where they wanted something different, they will find it easier to explain that to you. And more so on the opposite side, if they had a positive experience, they will kind of share that to the world because they had that good connection with you. So it's very important to connect, and that's what poker's brought into my life.
So what tells have I given you?
So you smile when you look at your cards. Good, no?
I try my best.
You're a solid player, bro, and with more experience, you can get there.
I'm enjoying the process, man. I'm really enjoying it. But then, for me, obviously, being in sport and trying to do all my stuff that I'm trying to do off the field, I'm in the transition phase of me thinking of life after rugby. So I'm obviously trying to keep myself busy with networking and putting stuff in place so that one day when I'm making the transition, or when I decide that I'm done with the game, it can be as smooth as I can possibly make that transition, But I wanted to ask you, it's time consuming.
Yes.
It's time consuming to learn the game of poker. Obviously, you've done that learning phase. You learn as you go as well.
Yes.
But you've done a lot of the learning already. You're playing a lot of poker, but you're still running a business or multiple businesses as well.
Tough.
How do you balance that? Where do you find that?
It's really tough, and you do go through ups and downs in the earlier phases, but you find the balance. I set a very strict weekly schedule for myself. Where it's suits time, it's suits time. You can't dilute it with, okay, let's focus on this stuff, or the beer needs attention now. I think it's also building a strong team around what you want to do, and identifying that you can't do everything yourself.
Yes.
So that's what I've kind of really done, or put a lot of attention to over the last year and a half. Where I have a solid team around everything I'm involved in. So if I'm not there, there's a second in charge, or a team assisting with what's needed to be done for the client or for the business itself. So I think, just time management and believing in your team.
Sure. That's powerful. And then before we wrap up, what's next for you, Gareth Duncan? Like any exciting projects coming up, any big poker tournaments that we might be looking forward to seeing you? Because I remember watching you on the live stream the other day. I think I saw the hand. I think you played pocket eights or something, ace jack against pocket eights or something like that. I don't know if you remember the hand. And I'm like, make the call. Obviously a lot easier to watch, but what's next for you?
There's a big series in Cape Town in end of November, December. That's quite exciting. That's probably the big event for the end of the year from a poker aspect. Also from the poker aspect, next year is a lot of opportunity to grow the sport in development phase. So that's something I'm quite excited to get into. From a suits perspective, it's just, we have a solid team that's currently working for the company, and it's all about strengthening our value offerings to the client, making sure that our quality increases and it gets better. And from the marketing thing, it's just, I give you more context. When I was younger, I tried to get involved in everything I could just to learn and absorb and become better and become an expert in different fields. But I found my foundation. I found the balance that I love, and it all connects in certain capacities. So it's not more about looking for new projects or starting new projects. It's more about building on what I have at the moment and taking it to new heights, which I mentioned in the beginning.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Gareth. I really, I appreciate this. This is a new journey that I'm going on, doing this whole podcasting thing. And I think to add value for the community, I think there's a lot of stuff that they can learn from this, having these types of conversations. I'm basically taking on this thing, documenting my learnings along the way, and then I'm basically recording it, putting it out there for everyone, because there could be someone out there that has the same dreams that you have, or whoever the guest is that we're speaking to, or the stuff that I'm busy with, and they can take a lot from that. They can find inspiration, motivation, and then hopefully 10 years from now, we'll hear that story, and it'll be that one conversation where we sat down in your office, and it'll be that conversation that would have kickstarted that thing. So I want to say thank you so much to you. I know you're a busy man, for opening up yourself, and just sharing a bit of your story in your business journey, and just leaving people with some really great value.
No, thank you also for having me and using this platform for the good of the community. I think we underestimate who's watching. And like you say, it takes one viewer to really change their life with the lessons spoken about in these sort of conversations. I think we need to have more of them in the community, because when I started out, there was no resources or guidance of what I needed to do in my position. 100%. So hopefully there's a younger Courtnall or younger Gareth out there watching this and bringing inspiration into their lives, and hopefully taking that across the try line one day.
100%. That's awesome, man. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to see what Gareth is up to, you can follow him on all his social media platforms. He shares a lot about his journey there. And we just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next episode. That's a wrap. Sweet. Sure.
Thank you so much.
That was
value to you guys.
I didn't think that would be so quick. That's awesome.